WWE presents Night of Champions this Saturday, June 28th from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and the show features several high-profile championship matches plus the finals of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. Could Paul Levesque, though, that being Triple H, the WWE Chief Content Officer, have several big surprises up his sleeve? In this countdown video, we're going to let you know about 5 potential major WWE surprises planned for this weekend's Night of Champions PLE. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin, you can see right there, we are less than 250 subscribers to go until 23,000 on that road to 25k. Of course, the goal is to get to 25k in 2025. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Join the ever-expanding WNU, that being the Wrestling News universe. In addition, you can become a member of the WN365 roster. Links in the video description below. You can click the join button, or you can scan the QR code when it appears on the sidebar. Speaking of the sidebar, you can see all upcoming live streams we've got here on the channel. That includes, for Night of Champions this Saturday, a live watch-along and a live post-show. Events after that include the likes of AEW All in Texas, Saturday night's main event featuring Goldberg's retirement match, and the return of Evolution, WWE's all-female premium live event. So be sure to join us for all of them. Now, in this countdown video, speaking of Night of Champions, let's discuss some major surprises that could happen this weekend in Riyadh as WWE presents Night of Champions. Let's begin with Solo Sikoa possibly winning the WWE United States Championship. Could this be a possibility? Well, of course, one of the featured matches at Night of Champions this weekend is Jacob Fatu defending the WWE United States Championship against his former tribal chief, that being Solo Sakoa. Of course, Jacob Fatu turned on Sakoa in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match at the last PLE for WWE, that being Money in the Bank in California. And since then, we've seen Sakoa want a US Championship match. He's going to try and take something away from Fatu. Of course, the Samoan Werewolf took away from him the opportunity to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, an opportunity at a guaranteed World Championship opportunity anytime he liked. So Sakoa is going to try and take away the US Championship. Now, you would think, despite Solo Sikoa being a very strong and powerful WWE superstar, he hasn't had the best win-loss record over the last couple of years, despite competing in several high-profile matches, including the likes of main eventing SummerSlam against Cody Rhodes last year, having feuds and matches with the likes of Roman Reigns on the Netflix premiere of Monday Night Raw, but he's never really won any of those matches. In fact, one of the biggest victories of his career actually did come against John Cena at a Saudi show, that being at Crown Jewel back in 2023. So could Solo win the US Championship for the first time in his career at Night of Champions? Well, my prediction is that it would probably have to be a lot of outside interference, shall we say. Of course, he will be backed up by JC Mateo. The former Jeff Cobb will be in his corner, but despite how strong and powerful JC Mateo is, maybe that won't be enough. Maybe they'll have to get more reinforcements. Now, maybe this will come in the form of a return of Tonga Loa. Of course, Tonga Loa has been out of action since Survivor Series last year when he competed in War Games alongside Solo Sikoa. He suffered a torn bicep during that match. It was reported he was going to be out of action for sort of 7 to 8 months, which would put his return around about now. So we could certainly see Tonga Loa back, or maybe we could see Tama Tonga. Maybe we see them both. Tama Tonga, he's been out of action since the SmackDown before WrestleMania where LA Knight took him out. He smashed his hand through a car window. Now, we don't actually know what the injury was to Tama Tonga, so we don't really know how long he was set to miss for, but we could see the former Gorillas of Destiny's return, the former GOD return to WWE television and maybe assist Solo Sikoa, but maybe even that won't be enough. Yes, because WWE, of course, remember, they like to protect the Samoan Werewolf. They like to protect Jacob Fatu. They see Fatu as a future main eventer. They see Fatu as a future WrestleMania main eventer. He's a big guy, athletic, can work, can talk critically, and is very over with the audience. So if they do want him to drop the championship, Make no mistake, it's not going to be a clean victory. So maybe having JC Mateo isn't enough. Maybe having the former Gorillas of Destiny isn't enough. Maybe this is when we see the WWE main roster debut of Hikuleo. We've seen Hikuleo several weeks now, the last 2 weeks rather, before SmackDown, compete in dark matches. Of course, he is the brother of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. And given all of the bloodline elements to all of this, even though sort of the original bloodline involving the Usos and involving Roman Reigns isn't really involved in this anymore. Solo Sakoa, an original member of the bloodline, so it still kind of is involved there. Maybe we see Hikuleo make his main roster debut, join this faction, and maybe that's what it takes. Yes, 4 people, 4 outside interferences, helpers for Solo Sakoa to win the US Championship, and maybe that builds to a rematch, possibly at SummerSlam. Of course, SummerSlam being a 2-night affair this year in MetLife Stadium. Let's move on and talk about Asuka possibly winning the Queen of the Ring tournament. Asuka has done pretty much everything there is to do in WWE. Of course, she had that legendary undefeated streak in NXT. In addition to that, she's won every championship you can think of. She's a 3-time WWE Women's Champion. She's a former SmackDown Women's Champion. She's a former NXT Women's Champion. She's won the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship 4 times, twice with Kairi Sane, 1 with Charlotte Flair, 1 with Alexa Bliss. She's won the Money in the Bank ladder match before back in 2020. She's won the Women's Royal Rumble, the first ever Women's Royal Rumble back in 2018. She's the 3rd Women's Triple Crown Champion, the 2nd Women's Grand Slam Champion. She's won the Mixed Match Challenge. I mean, everything you could possibly think of, she's done, apart from win the Queen of the Ring tournament. Of course, she's facing Jade Cargill at Night of Champions this Saturday. And it was teased Monday night on Raw, wasn't it, that possibly we could see the former Damage Control faction mates, stablemates of Io Sky, the current WWE Women's World Champion, going up against Asuka at SummerSlam. Of course, the winner of this tournament receives a match of their respective brands' World Championship at SummerSlam. That would mean if Asuka does win, she's the Raw competitor involved in this. If Asuka wins, she would get a Women's World Championship match at SummerSlam, and it was already teased on Raw that we could see Asuka and Io Sky face off against each other. As I've said, they're former Damage Control stablemates. It kind of works there. So, and maybe for Jade Cargill, yes, WWE, they're very high on her, and yes, they're very keen on pushing her. She's got the look. They obviously paid her a lot of money in terms of the crossover from AEW to WWE, and she was a big target of theirs. But perhaps she might be involved in other storylines and other things going into SummerSlam. We'll talk about that in just a second. But Asuka winning this one, she's just also come back from an injury where she missed over a year of in-ring action for WWE. So would they want to have her lose so quickly in a major match like this? I say no. I think they're still looking for more opponents to have Io Sky face. Of course, Rhea Ripley, they're kind of keeping out of the Women's World Championship picture for now. She's involved in the street fight against Raquel Rodriguez at Night of Champions 2. So I say that Asuka is going to add yet another accolade to her CV from WWE, that being becoming the Queen of the Ring for the first time ever. Now, how is she going to do that? Well, I think there might be some outside assistance, shall we say, from the Money in the Bank holder for the women's division in WWE, that being Naomi, once again wreaking havoc on the life and career of Jade Cargill. Now, Naomi, since turning heel, of course, she's had huge success in WWE. Yes, she lost to Jade Cargill at WrestleMania, but that still didn't stop her from winning the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match at Money in the Bank and having that contract for a guaranteed opportunity at a championship of her choosing anytime over the next 12 months. Now, some are speculating that she could possibly cash in at SummerSlam, and maybe that's how Jade Cargill's going to win the tournament, and then she's going to face off against someone like Tiffany Stratton, and that's how Naomi is going to get involved. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's necessarily how it's going to go. We know that Naomi is still absolutely twisted and bitter when it comes to revenge. She's still stalking Bianca Belair and still saying, Bianca, now are you proud of me? And of course, Jade Cargill does own a victory over Naomi. So I think Naomi might get involved in this one and say, look, I'm not going to allow Jade Cargill to have any accolade that I don't have. It's going to be me. I don't want Jade Cargill to have a world championship opportunity before I do. It's going to be me that gets an opportunity first. I'm not saying it's going to be at SummerSlam. I'm not saying it's going to be at Evolution. I'm just saying I'm not allowing it. Now, obviously, this could go in a bit of a different direction. Some are kind of theorizing we could see a situation where Jade Cargill wins, but then we have possibly an evolution. Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton. Bianca Belair wins, and then maybe Naomi's going to be floating around. It's a storyline involving the Women's Championship and all involved in that. But at the same time, as I mentioned, you just feel like Asuka versus Io Sky was kind of the seeds planted there, and that one does make a lot more sense. And there's other ways they could get to a Cargill, Belair, and Naomi triple threat, or Cargill versus Belair at SummerSlam. They could go in that kind of direction. So I think Asuka wins, and I think Asuka has maybe Naomi to thank, even if she doesn't necessarily want to thank her for her tournament victory. Now, speaking of finals, of course, it's the King of the Ring tournament final, and it's mentor versus mentee. It is Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. Ever since Cody Rhodes came back to WWE in 2022, everyone has been waiting and wondering and asking the question, just when is Randy Orton going to turn on the American Nightmare? Because he's the Viper. He's a snake. You never trust a snake. You know eventually at some point they're going to bite you. You know at some point they're going to inject you with the venom. So really, it's on you if you trust a snake and if you trust a Viper. Now, Cody Rhodes trusts Randy Orton more than most people because he's been with him in the past. Of course, Randy Orton was his mentor in Legacy. Since returning to WWE, they've had several interactions, several in-ring segments. We've even had Randy Orton console Cody Rhodes when losing the championship, congratulate him when winning the championship. He was first to talk after John Cena turned heel on Cody Rhodes at Elimination Chamber on the SmackDown After Chamber. But we maybe could see a situation where most people are expecting Cody Rhodes to win the King of the Ring this year. This is his route back to facing John Cena. SummerSlam, you think the main event of SummerSlam will be a rematch of WrestleMania. It will once again be John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, undisputed WWE Championship. However, one wrinkle in that game plan could be the fact that Randy Orton now is just bitter. He's now just angry. He's now just jealous that Cody Rhodes not only won the King of the Ring, but he's got the opportunity to defeat John Cena for the WWE Championship. Remember, Randy Orton had his opportunity at John Cena. They had their match at Backlash, and it wasn't his fault that he lost. Due to the interference of R-Truth getting out there and what have you, it cost him that match. John Cena got the victory, and he retained the WWE Championship in the process. It wasn't Randy Orton's fault. John Cena couldn't best him on that night. Now, this is his route back to facing John Cena, his legendary rival. If Cody Rhodes beats Randy Orton, maybe Randy Orton realizes, maybe I won't be able to get close to John Cena's record. Maybe I won't be the guy to end John Cena's undisputed WWE Championship reign for a record 17th time. So whilst Cody Rhodes could win this match, I think we wouldn't be totally shocked if now is the time. Now is the time that Randy Orton turns heel. And this could be a situation where the heel turn isn't even paid off for quite some time. Yes, Randy turns heel. Yes, he attacks Cody Rhodes. But Cody Rhodes is still set to challenge John Cena at SummerSlam. And maybe this is the way that Cody Rhodes doesn't defeat John Cena for the never seen 17 undisputed WWE Championship reign. Because, of course, many people are still saying, well, John Cena's still got several more dates. He's retiring in December. If he's retiring in December, that would suggest that he will hold the championship for a little bit more time. So could Cody Rhodes beat him at SummerSlam? Or could there be a situation where Randy Orton actually costs the match? Could Rhodes be working double duty at SummerSlam? Have a match against Orton, then have a match against Cena? There's lots of different possibilities here. I think the likelihood is that Rhodes wins the tournament, but I think that might be the trigger. That might finally be the trigger point that Orton decides to turn on his former mentee. And finally, what about Seth Rollins? Could Night of Champions be the time that Seth Rollins decides to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase? Of course, as I mentioned, the main event at Night of Champions, it's a match that's been over a decade in building. It is John Cena versus CM Punk once again for the undisputed WWE Championship. The first time they're sharing a ring one-on-one since 2013. Of course, they did share the ring technically at the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber, but this is the first one-on-one meeting between the two in several years, 12 years to be specific. 2013 was on an episode of Raw. Now we're having it at Night of Champions. And just like I spoke about when it comes to Randy Orton and how he was defeated by John Cena, I don't think we see a scenario where John Cena defeats CM Punk clean. We've seen John Cena use title bouts. We've seen John Cena use low blows to win the Never Seen 17. So I think we should probably expect the same at Night of Champions, but I don't think it will be enough. We know that Seth Rollins issues with CM Punk, they're not over. They've just been delayed. Of course, Seth Rollins won that main event of WrestleMania 41 Saturday. How did he win it? By Paul Heyman's help. The Oracle, no longer the wise man, the Oracle. What happened? Well, of course, Paul Heyman turned on CM Punk and he turned on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns right now, he's nowhere to be seen. CM Punk, he's on WWE television. And whilst Rollins could maybe cash in that match, maybe Cena still wins. Maybe Rollins cashes in, but he's unsuccessful. Maybe it's a scenario whereby Rollins attempts to cash in, Punk stops him, and then maybe Cena pins Rollins or something like that. Once again, reigniting the issue. Once again, building to a singles match. Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. Now, they've already had those singles matches. It's been a singles match on Raw, on the Raw Netflix debut premiere. In addition to that, they had a steel cage match inside Madison Square Garden. When's the third one going to take place? Possibly at SummerSlam. How do you top a steel cage? Once again, could we see a CM Punk match inside Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam? Certainly would be befitting of a main event of SummerSlam. Certainly, there's got to be 2 of them this year, remember. It's night 1 and night 2 on August 2nd and August 3rd. So maybe Rollins does cash in, but maybe it doesn't go the way that he wants. Because you do feel like, Gunther, he's doing his thing with the World Championship. He's just facing Goldberg on Saturday night's main event. That's coming up soon, but he just won the championship, so Gunther probably not set for a short title reign, you think? Could Rollins cash in and once again CM Punk scuppers his plans? Certainly is a possibility, and I think that possibility could happen as soon as Night of Champions. So there you go, guys. There are 5 possible major surprises for WWE Night of Champions this Saturday in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Once again, a reminder, we will be live for a WWE Night of Champions watch-along and a post-show. We're actually also going to be live for a WWE SmackDown watch-along and post-show just 24 hours before Night of Champions. Of course, that'll be taking place in Riyadh 2 SmackDown. It'll be live internationally on Netflix, not in the US, as it'll still be airing in its usual time slot at 8 p.m. Eastern on tape delay on USA Network. But we'll also have several more upcoming live streams too. Check out the sidebar. You can see all of the details in that. As always, you can see right there, we're less than 250 subscribers to go until 23,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Join the ever-expanding WNU. Our aim is to get to 25k in 2025. You can also scan that QR code right there and join members of the WN365 roster. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. As always, more countdown videos and news videos to come. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.